This might look like sitting outside for 5 minutes without your phone. Leave it inside. Sometimes, well, since I've been back, like I don't even know where my phone is. Um, put it away somewhere. Go outside 5 minutes. If you're not into the deep breathing, you're not sure where to start with that, that's fine. Just sit for like 5 minutes without your phone. Take it all in. Notice the colors outside, notice the sounds, how you're feeling in that moment. Welcome back to PCOS Unfiltered, where we go beyond the diagnosis and start listening to the deeper messages behind our symptoms, our struggles, and our healing. And today's episode is going to feel a little different because it's just me, raw and unfiltered. I just came back from a retreat in Costa Rica, and I knew I needed to share this space with you. So just a reminder, the content shared on PCOS Unfiltered, Nourish, Heal, Thrive is for informational and educational purposes only. The views and opinions expressed by the host and guests are not intended to serve as medical advice. Always consult with a qualified healthcare professional before making any changes to your diet, exercise, or treatment plan. The information shared is based on personal experience and expert interviews and is not a substitute for professional medical guidance. So for now, enjoy the sounds of Costa Rica throughout this episode. Settle in, take some deep breaths as I share why you don't need a retreat to heal, but you do need this. Hello and welcome. This episode is going to be a little different. So I just got back from a yoga retreat, wellness retreat in Costa Rica. And my plan was initially actually to do the episode from there, so that you could actually hear the birds, just the breeze coming through, and just kind of feel the quiet, I guess, along with the episode. But that was my plan. I did not do it from there, and I'm kind of happy I didn't now, actually. Like, I tried a couple different places. It just did not feel aligned for me. But I still felt like I needed to do this episode because you don't need a retreat to heal. It just opened my eyes to so many things. It was, I mean, to say amazing is, I think, an understatement. And there's so many good things that I want to share with you, and how you can take this into just the smallest, parts of your life to begin to do something like this. You don't actually need the retreat. So let's kind of dive in. If you are watching on video, then you might see I do have the picture from our hotel room, or from our hotel, like from the pool area, and the view that we had. But even that, I feel like, just does not do it justice. Of course, I have so many pictures, saw so many animals, saw so many things, and just learned how to be present, how to just be, I guess you want to say. So yeah, I don't think it was actually, the retreat. I think it's what the retreat creates. And we live such busy lives. It was a wake-up call for me, I think. The retreat itself allowed me to press pause, on everything, but I want you to know that you don't need a retreat to do that. I didn't realize how I wasn't present, I think, anymore. I talk about on episodes, I talk about with guests, but I also wasn't being consistent in the fact that I was, I would still eat on the go. I would still, like, put on my favorite TV show while I'm cooking or eating or getting ready. And now I am actually enjoying the quiet. Granted, I've only been back for like 3 days, but it's a whole just new way. I'd put my phone on do not disturb, silence my notifications, phone on do not disturb. And I'm continuing to do that because it's so easy to get caught up in seeing the 9+ notifications on my Facebook app or, my text messages. And then it just pulls you in, and then you just go down this spiral. But I mean, there were even times where I would turn something on in the morning, kind of first thing, and I didn't realize how much the silence is what I actually really needed. Um, so yes, with the retreat, there was going in, I did not know what to expect. I thought I knew maybe kind of what to expect, but I was still very open to anything else that might come. And so it, yes, there was yoga. There was also a lot of meditation. So we did sunrise meditation every morning. I learned a lot about breath work, even more. I've learned even from the guests on the show what I know myself, but I feel like that was just skimming the surface. So I learned about breath work and energy healing. Um, and again, just being present. So during the retreat, we were pampered, I will say. Um, so there was no decision making, there was no rushing, between meetings, between, any type of time schedule necessarily. Sure, we had some things on the schedule, but even then it wasn't set in stone. And that would be kind of fluent. Even what to besides telling somebody my order for food, there wasn't the decision making of, what do I need to make for dinner tonight? And I have to go to the grocery store and thinking about my grocery list. There was just no pressure to produce, and feeling like, I'm being pulled in 10 different directions and overstimulated this whole time. So it finally allowed my body this chance to just exhale. And I mean, I've talked about it before. This is what I see all the time with the women that I work with. We don't listen to our bodies enough. We don't give ourselves that chance to just fully be, to just take that big exhale and know that it will be okay and listen to our bodies. I think that's where the silence comes in. It allows us to really start listening to those messages and listening to what our body is trying to tell us. I've said it before again, you can't heal a body that doesn't feel safe. Um, so I mean, it was an amazing experience. Sure, we did some excursions, we did some fun stuff too, which honestly kind of stressed me out a little bit more than I expected. But I learned so, so much from this retreat. So, kind of bringing it back to, PCOS and what you can do. Remember, we're not trying to fix symptoms here. That's a lot of what I talk about. Symptoms are messages. So, the fatigue, the energy crashes, the skin issues, the acne, cravings, the weight gain, all of that stuff is your body trying to tell you something. And a lot of times we just try to suppress those symptoms. And we're doing it from a body that feels like it's constantly under pressure, right? Something pops up, you're gaining more weight, you're noticing that you're drained every afternoon, and you start thinking, okay, what do I need to do? What diet do I need to do? What supplement do I need to take? Um, this retreat removed all of that pressure. And yes, it was just temporary, but like, I mean, I learned so, so much, so much that I wanted to take it, into real life. And like I said, I'm only like 3 days back, but also part of why I wanted to do this fresh because I've actually continued the meditation every day, and it's not been perfect, and it's not been 45 minutes to an hour that we did at sunrise every morning, but I've made the best of it. I actually recorded some of the sounds during the meditation of the birds, which I'm going to weave into this episode as well. But um, it like just listening to the breeze, to, the sounds of nature, wherever you might be, and no matter what time of year it is, because sure, at this time of year, a lot of us are coming, depending on where you're listening, but a lot of us are kind of coming out of winter, right? And you can still just be, maybe feel the cold, even if you're just outside for a couple minutes, and actually just take a minute to take a deep breath, exhale, and just feel the cold against your face. Um, so this retreat just, yeah, removed all that pressure. And like I said, it might have been, for a short amount of time, but I learned so much about myself, so much about what I want. And um, I'm continuing this. And that was one of the goals that I set while I was there. And I want to continue to that. I want to continue to be present so I can be present in my relationships, with my family, with my husband, all of that. I can just be a better person. I can be a better coach for all of you. Um, so no, you don't need a plane ticket to Costa Rica, to heal. But again, just start creating those little moments where your body, you know, just allow it to be. Um, I can get in a rut sometimes because I put so much pressure on myself, like with working out, for example. If I even take like a rest day, I usually try to make it kind of an active rest day where I just try to go for a walk. And I think in my mind, I always think I need to do like 3 miles or something. But then the day gets away from me and I maybe have 10 minutes and I just like blow that off altogether because I think because I can't get in the full amount that I want, then I'm like, why bother? And so, you know, take the time, even if it is just 5 minutes, 2 minutes, because I think you'll start noticing some differences. Um, and you're going to want to make it longer and longer. You're going to find the time, you're going to reevaluate, maybe how much time you're spending on social media. Because again, that was another big thing for me. It's part of my job, but I still didn't realize how much I was draining my energy on things that don't really matter, and they're not aligned with what I want for myself, for my goals, for my relationships, all of that stuff. Um, so what I want to do is make this practical, again, you don't need the plane ticket to Costa Rica or anywhere else, to go on this retreat and set this in motion. I want you to have some practical takeaways and, just realistic, grounded things that you can do. So this might look like sitting outside for 5 minutes without your phone. Leave it inside. Sometimes, well, since I've been back, like I don't even know where my phone is. Um, put it away somewhere. Go outside 5 minutes. If you're not into the deep breathing, you're not sure where to start with that, that's fine. Just sit for like 5 minutes without your phone. Take it all in. Notice the colors outside, notice the sounds, how you're feeling in that moment. You might actually have a little bit of a cry. You might smile. You might have some type of release just by taking those few minutes to do that. Another practical thing you can do is eat your meal without multitasking. So again, this is something that was probably bigger for me than I realized. Now when I'm with my husband, like having dinner, if he's home, we eat in front of the TV, often. But as much as I can control it, now, like my lunch times. Again, my phone is away. I'm just looking outside. I'm just in my thoughts and not trying to do work. And maybe I am thinking about work, but I don't have that extra stimulation in front of me of a computer or phone or tablet or something like that. Um, so yeah, I think that's a huge one. And sure, like if you are, married to have kids, it may not be as easy all the time. So try to do that, best you can. Start with like one meal, especially if you're at work or something, trying to just be without looking at your phone, scrolling on your phone or something. Um, Another one is taking a breath before reacting. Um, so whenever I work with my clients, we talk about doing some deep breathing exercises, usually before meals. I've actually talked about it on an episode before. Taking a minute to do some deep breathing exercises. And you can look these up. There's 4-7-8 breathing, there's like box breathing. You can just take some nice big deep inhales through your nose and a big exhale through your mouth. And I will say one thing I learned, make all the sounds you want when you exhale. Make a sigh, make a sound, flutter your lips. That was another big thing for me. Um, because it's going to feel so good to get it out. So whether it's around meals, you're also going to be more aware of what you're eating. Um, or maybe reacting to a situation. If somebody says something that doesn't sit well with you, you might just want to take a deep breath before you react or before you respond, because it's probably going to be a better response than your initial reaction without that pause. So yeah, it could also be just some other random times throughout the day to just take a few deep breaths. Again, it doesn't have to be a minute. It doesn't have to be 5 minutes. It could be just two nice, big, deep breaths, and you're going to start noticing some differences there. Another one for me is to let something be good enough instead of perfect. This is going to reduce some stress in your life. Like I said, there were some times throughout the retreat that maybe, my perfectionism set in. I was a little more stressed. And yeah, just let it be good enough. It does not have to be perfect. You can relinquish that control. Um, it's something that I think just adds more stress to our lives, and you have to really ask yourself, are you trying to be perfect, for yourself, for someone else? But either way, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Um, Another takeaway would be to just stay off of the phone in the morning and in the evening, like start with 20 to 30 minutes before bed and after waking up. Um, this again was another big one for me. I didn't immediately reach for my phone in the morning, and I'm more of a productive person in the morning anyways, but I think I was even more productive. I was able to really gather my thoughts, for the day. And then in the evening, I've talked about it, I think, at some point about how that blue light can affect your sleep as well. Um, so yeah, find something, in your day to incorporate, to just be, to help regulate your nervous system, decrease stress. There's so much out there around diets and exercise for PCOS or any other conditions, or if you're just trying to lose weight and you've not even been diagnosed with something, maybe even if you're on a fertility journey and you're being told to eat this, not eat that, it can be so, so stressful and add so much more to our lives. And we really need to remove that noise. You know, just stop, just remove it, um, and really think, what does my body need right now? And it needs to feel safe. And in order to do that, you really have to go inward. You have to silence all the noise. And I think that was a big part of what this retreat, you know, taught me. Um, and what I want you to know too is that it's not about escaping your life. So sure, with the retreat, I kind of was able to escape for a little bit, but But when you're doing these things, it's not about escaping your life. It's about changing how your body experiences it. And it's going to experience these symptoms better and experience, the messages behind these symptoms. You're going to learn to understand those. I didn't realize how much I needed this. Uh, I would say my life is not too chaotic. If you do watch consistently on video, you'll notice there's different backgrounds, and that is because I do travel with my husband sometimes for work. I travel, I might be in a hotel room one moment. I might be in different places, even in our home. So you might notice the background changing, but I still wouldn't say that my life is chaotic by any means. But I think I've just gotten used to operating at a certain pace. Um, you just kind of subconsciously get in this rhythm of do, 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 um, whether it's work, kids, spouse, whatever it might be. And then we tie in, scrolling on our phones and as like a way to maybe you think that might be relieving stress, going to the coffee pot every morning. You're just in this like pace and routine and subconscious habit of doing things. And I invite you to just take a minute to pause, breathe, evaluate all of that. I met some amazing people on this trip. Um, just amazing. And we formed such a bond during this time. The host, which I can link her episode in the show notes, but the host was Natanya Ruth, and she's been a guest on my podcast before. And mm, I I don't know, like this was totally outside of my comfort zone. I didn't know anybody besides her who I'd met a few times on Zoom. Um, but I felt I needed to do this. And again, met some amazing people while I was there. Um, I mean, honestly, I feel like it was life-changing, you know. Um, and that's a big ask. That's a big thing to say, but there were so many things that are changing still, that did change me while I was there. Helped me realize, who I want to be, where I want to go with my business, with all of you listeners. Um, and so yeah, it's amazing what can happen when you just be. So if you're one of those that is feeling stuck, you're feeling like nothing is working, um, like you're doing everything right. And I feel like that's a common theme in my podcast. So much. You feel like you're doing everything right. Your body is not responding. So maybe it's not about doing more. It's not about, I do talk about adding, and sure, we want to add nutrients but in this case, we want to add maybe gentle movement, add some breathing, add some, just some presence. But it it may not always be about that. It's just really about creating the space for your body to truly feel safe. And when it feels safe, it can actually prioritize what needs to happen to heal, to lose weight, to get pregnant, whatever your struggle might be. So if you feel like you're one of those that's doing anything and everything and you've tried it all, but nothing is working, I invite you, create this space. Take the time to just be present, be in the moment. Um, this is exactly what I do with my clients, in my program as well. I do focus a lot on nutrition, but I'm also starting to realize how much more your body needs to experience life. And that needs to be the priority before we can even talk about all the nutrition things. My goal is always for it to stick, for it to become a lifestyle, like I've done with myself. But in order for that to happen, your body has to feel safe and it has to be in that space to truly, truly feel safe. So, I think that's all I have. Um, I thank you for joining me for this episode. And of course, reach out. I'm here for you. If you need anything, I would love to hear from you. And yeah, take a minute. We could even, take some deep breaths right now, actually, for a second. So just take a nice big inhale with me in through your nose and blow it out your mouth. Nice big exhale. Again, make a sound, make a sigh. Let's do that one more time. Big inhale through your nose. A nice big exhale out through your mouth. See how that feels in your body. And I invite you to carry that on through your day and through your week. And I'll see you on the next episode. If this episode resonated with you, I would love to hear from you. So share it, tag me, or send it to someone who needs this reminder today. I'm sending you so much love, and I'll see you on the next episode of PCOS Unfiltered. Nourish, Heal, Thrive.